Hi, welcome to episode 53 of the Beyond Social Media Show. Today, I am BL Ochman, and you can find me online. I am at What's Next on Twitter. My blog is What's Next blog. You'll find me on the Beyond Social Media Show blog and on the Beyond Social Media Show Google Plus page, and of course on my own profile page. Co-host is David Erickson. And you'll find Dave at eStrategyBlog.com. You'll find him at eStrategyTV. On Twitter, he's D. Erickson. And, of course, on the Beyond Social Media Show Google Plus page. Our special guest today, we're honored to have with us Chef Dennis Littley. And he has been doing some really extraordinary things on Google Plus. And he does a cooking show where last week I learned how to make caponata. Boy, is that delicious. And we're going to learn today, I believe we're going to learn something to do with fish and corn. And on Twitter, he's Ask Chef Dennis. And he has a community online called the Google Plus Bloggers Community. And his blog is called A Culinary Journey with Chef Dennis. And we're going to talk about his upcoming second annual Virtual Bloggers Conference, June 27th and 28th. But as is our tradition, we cover the worst in social media, the best in social media in the past week, plus shiny new objects you're going to want to have, and stats you need to know. So it's always my honor to start with the worst. And this week, there was malware on Facebook. And as if we didn't have enough to worry about, there was a post that promised us access to a video of a huge snake eating a man alive. Everybody wants to see that, right? So unfortunately, it took you to a page when you clicked on it that looked virtually identical to a Facebook page, but it actually was a malware page. And while you're looking at, it then tells you you have to share the post before you can view the video. Then you have to answer a survey. Well, meanwhile, while all that's going on, you're getting malware on your computer. And the users' Facebook accounts and Twitter accounts, if they were linked, repeatedly share the malware link. So my question is, why would anybody do that?
There's a lot of hoops to go through to see a man get eaten by a snake, but still, it's a man getting eaten by a snake, right?
Well,
so
I couldn't tell you whether a man got eaten by a snake or not because I didn't click on the stupid links.
I assume that this is spreading through email. Is that correct?
Was it in
We're
Facebook?
getting email messages with it.
And it was in the Facebook newsfeed.
Okay, well, I mean, one of the things you need to do to protect yourself against this is before clicking on any link that you have questions about, hover over the link and glance down at the bottom left-hand corner of your browser to see what website it is going to. If it's supposed to go to Facebook and the domain is not facebook.com, then that's a pretty good indication it might be something you don't want to click on.
The Hangout Cat is here.
I've come to think of Facebook as the National Enquirer of social media now. Yeah.
I love that. That is really exactly what it is. You know, I did a post the other day, and it was pictures of my dog. I go to Facebook to see my friends, families, pets, birthdays, and when I want to learn something, I come to Google+. So I look at that post, and it was seen by 20 people. What a waste of time. Anyway, Dave, what have you got that you want to cover in the worst category?
So, Wikipedia, one of my favorite sites. Let me say that up front. Great resource. But they came out and told marketers and PR reps to come clean when editing entries on Wikipedia. Now, this has been an issue for a long time, right? But there's so many things wrong with this story. One is, the people who are trying to game Wikipedia are not going to come clean. Just asking them to come clean is not going to do it. So I don't know how effective that is. Brands and companies are apparently paying people to edit their entries on Wikipedia. Obviously, there's ethical issues with that, but it's just plain stupid because you're going to be found out. You're going to get bad PR as a result of that. 3, there's no way to enforce this. There's no way that Wikipedia can really enforce it except for asking people to come clean, which they won't if they're doing it anyway. And then finally, there's the relationship between the Wikipedia editors who are overseeing pages and people who represent brands and companies who legitimately want to go in there and clean stuff up and report facts and everything and not game the system, but because there's an antagonistic relationship between the two, you don't get as quality content as you could for everybody who's got the best interest in mind. So it's sort of it's a weird dynamic with Wikipedia that I don't know that there's an answer to, but this story highlighted the fact that there's no real good answer to this.
There really isn't a good answer, and Wikipedia is really a valuable resource. So it's a shame to see that people use it in that way. And the cat is insisting on being here.
Popping up. That's pretty funny.
So I do a public service every once in a while where I just look and see how many people on Twitter in their Twitter bios describe themselves as social media experts, gurus, ninjas, warriors. And the first time I did it, there were 16,000 people who were describing themselves in that way. And today, there are 297,897 people who are self-proclaimed social media gurus, warriors, ninjas, my favorite being visionaries, and an additional 59 people have joined the rank of, and they call themselves this, Twitter whores. I find that more than a little bit scary. And the ranks of social media consultants have doubled, but that's not surprising. So, I just wonder, first of all, guru is something you call yourself. I mean, someone else calls you. I suppose anybody can call you a whore, but why would you call yourself one? And there are 48 social media wonks. I kind of like that title.
This amuses me and interests me at the same time. So I mean, some of these are guru, freak, ninja, visionary, as you point out. These are all terms that you obviously should not apply to yourself. So don't include them in your bio. But others, consultant, okay, that's an objective term, right? Strategist, specialist, these are actual job titles that people have, right? So
yes.
Putting them in your bio, that makes sense. Expert, I know there's a big hue and cry that you're not supposed to call yourself a social media expert, but you know what? After spending 10, 15, 20 years doing online marketing, damn it, I earned it. I should be able to call myself an expert.
See, I don't think you should, but that's me. So
well, that's what people search for when they're looking for somebody to hire. So it's a tactical issue as well.
Well, I would call you a social media expert, but I wouldn't call myself a social media expert. I would say I'm a strategist or a consultant. But, I don't even use that term anymore because what I do is communications. And so I think all of those are sort of moot terms. And I think what we're talking about are digital communications. And I see I made a math error in my list. Anyway, what I would really like to do is to find out more about what you're doing, Chef Dennis. So one of the things that is very vexing about Google Plus is the lack of adoption by agencies and really by brands. I mean, there are a lot of brands on Google Plus, but I had a meeting just yesterday with a very smart agency, and they knew nothing about Google+. She said, I'm all ears. This is great. This is wonderful. And when you have these conversations, there's often an aha moment when they go, I didn't know all of that was possible. So what do you think is going on? What is stopping it?
Well, in the food world, what I run into is that PR agencies are running a lot of the social media for food companies. I mean, a good portion of it, and they're either so taxed at what they're already doing that they can't even imagine adding another social media to it, or they just don't know how to do it, what to do with it, so they do their companies that they're representing a huge disservice by not learning about it, by not presenting. Go back to them and say, hey, look, Google Plus is really something you need to be on, but I don't have the manpower to do it. I'm going to have to hire another person to dedicate to that position, so it's going to cost you. If you explain it, but to explain it, of course, you have to understand it. and they don't even want to sip the Kool-Aid, let alone chug it, which you really need to do to get on board. But, I find the resistance is just that, oh yeah, it sounds real good, it's not going to be successful. I've been hearing the same thing now for 3 years. Oh, it's going to go away. Oh, it's never going to be big. Oh, no one's there. We still hear it's a ghost town. What?
You have 500,000 followers
Yeah.
on us. When you do a cooking show, so many of us show up because they're fun. And you're doing them, we can cook along with you. We can just learn from you. There are 1.5 million people who are signed up for the Hangout Cooking School. There are brands with millions of followers. I think the problem, in my opinion, has to do with Google and how badly they stink at explaining pretty much anything.
They do, but you have to understand Google. I mean, I don't just blindly follow them. I don't want you to think that, but they really, when I was talking to them one day and I was talking about Google Plus, this was early on. I said, so Dennis, we don't want to be the biggest social media. We don't even really care about being the social media. We want to integrate ourselves into every aspect of your life. So to them, Google Plus is merely a tool to improve search. So for them, on one hand, they want brands to come on. They really do. And I think a lot of the people that work for them want brands to come on. But the hierarchy is saying, well, that's all well and good. We like it. We would like to have it, but it's not our main focus.
Well,
part of the issue, too, is that so if PR agencies don't understand Google+, if ad agencies don't understand Google+, excuse me, if marketing agencies don't understand Google+, clients understand it even less, right? And so if it's a hard sell to somebody who does not understand it, and it's not easy to understand, that gets to Biel's point of Google not really explaining how this stuff works, Google not really designing it to be user-friendly. So I think as far as agencies are concerned, a lot of the reliance on the expertise comes on younger people who aren't really using it a lot.
I don't agree with you, Dave. I don't think that Google Plus is so hard to learn, but there is a learning curve. It has a distinct learning curve, and it's not a social network. It has a social component. What it has is, I think, the best video platform ever, because it's integrated with Google Plus and it's integrated with search. And it also has some of the most extraordinary communities that you will find anywhere. And I think that what Google has failed to do is explain that there is this learning curve, and the same way you could make your own website and it would look like you did. You could come on here, you could look around, you could use a few things. If you really want to learn how to use it, there's a learning curve. And that's not bad.
No, there is a learning curve, but the reason the curve becomes so big sometimes is because people think they can use it like they can use Facebook, and they fail. So when they fail, they just turn their back on it, or they say it doesn't work. Well, it's like anything else. If you're going to drive a stick shift, you don't go into it and pretend it's an automatic. You have to kind of figure it out, and you're going to struggle. But Google, I don't see it. Maybe because I started when they started it. I don't see it being hard to understand or hard to use. I find Twitter extremely frustrating.
Do you?
I do. I don't think you can get a message out. I think you're repeating yourself. I think it's just like standing on a soapbox and shouting all day long. Look at me, look at me. But
no.
That's how that's how I view it. And that's
I think the analogy of the stick shift versus automatic is an apt one, because I do think Google Plus is harder to learn than what they compare it to, which is Facebook and Twitter, which are easier to jump on. You may not think they're as effective as Google Plus, Chef, but they're easier to jump on and just go.
Yeah, it's not that they're not as effective. I find them frustrating in terms of communication.
Yeah, do you really? Now, you see, for me, Twitter is my main source of news. It's my main source of a lot of education, and I have some really extraordinary relationships because of who I choose to follow and who chooses to follow me. journalists follow me, brands follow me, and I follow people who are smart and have something to say. So I find it to be an extraordinary platform, and it's the rule of thumb that you use, that I know you use on Google Plus, which is a 12-to-1 formula. 12 times you help other people, 1 time you talk about yourself. If you use it as a promotion platform, it won't work.
No, I know, but I see a lot of that, and I think sometimes that Triber is becoming the death of Twitter because all it is cross-promoting everyone's things, and you don't have those. You just don't. I mean, I don't see, because I don't use it. I probably never learned to use it correctly, is what it is. But I don't use it to communicate with my friends because all they're doing is pumping out or buffering or scheduling, or I don't find them live to talk to. And that's where, on Google, like, I'll be doing my work and people will just ping me and I'll jump into a quick hangout with them and we'll shoot the breeze or talk business or whatever for a few minutes. And
I do that as well 5 or 6 times a day, but I go to Twitter for news.
Yeah.
I go to Twitter for education. And
Let's save some time for the virtual conference because
okay. So tell us about the virtual conference that you're doing on Google Plus, because it's pretty extraordinary.
Well, one of the reasons I did it, I always wanted to. When I first started food blogging, I enjoyed getting together with my friends. I love sharing knowledge with my friends. I mean, that's always been my website is Ask Chef Dennis. And that wasn't something I came up with. A friend of mine actually coined that for me and dubbed that and headed me towards that direction. But I love sharing a knowledge, and we tried to build a regular conference one year, and it was just so difficult to get the money together, to get backers, to do it. It was impossible. So when I saw how I was using Google and how I was using the Hangouts, I started thinking about this. And last year, I decided to go, right into it. And we had the first virtual conference. It was very successful. Had a lot of nice, big name people on there, but it was kind of hobbled together by who I knew and who I could grab. This year, when I did it, I could have probably done it all week long and not used up all of my friends and the people that have knowledge and could share things. But I try to stick to the format of a regular conference, and we open Friday night with a virtual cocktail party, and my friend Heather Fay, who is just amazingly talented, beautiful, wonderful person, is going to sing for us and do a song or two and entertain us while we're sipping our beverages and mingling in the comments section.
That's a lovely idea. You had the most extraordinary music on your show last night. I've gone back to listen to it 3 times already. It's so beautiful. Tell us a little about that.
Oh, Sue Aston, she is just a goddess and the nicest person you ever want to meet. Phil and her are just a lovely couple who I met through Ronnie Bincer's community. And it was just
sweet and humble and nice and talented,
Extremely, and she is just, they're funny, and I love being on with them. So I'm trying to add a music component to Good Day Google Plus. My original plan was it was going to be a variety show, and I've been trying to get, I said any comedians, any singers, any actors, anybody who wants to come on and do something fun, just to break up, because you can only have so many social media shows.
So the virtual conference starts on the 28th and it goes through the 29th. And what are the hours and how do people access it?
Well, it's very simple. You can go to my website, which is AskChefDennis.com. Mike Alton did a beautiful presentation on it on his website. I think that's a social media hat. And it starts Saturday morning, and everything's in Eastern time. But, if you go to the videos, it'll tell you how long it is till it's in your time. And it starts at 10 a.m. The cocktail party's Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then at 10 a.m. on Saturday, we begin, and it's how to work with brands, or actually how to get brands to notice you, kind of a session. And every 2 hours we have a different session, with the last one being at 8 p.m. On Saturday night. And then Dennis gargles, goes to sleep, and wakes up Sunday morning and starts all over again at 10 a.m. and the last one is at 6 p.m. So we actually have 11 sessions of information on this conference. Last year we did 10, so I added one more.
And all of these are via Hangout.
All of them are via Hangouts. All of them can be seen live, where you can engage and ask us questions and ask the people that are presenting questions, just like you would at a normal conference. It's like raising your hand to be talked to, and we'll put them up on the screen, and you can ask them specific questions. You can ask them questions in advance, or you can come back when you have time and watch the conference. One of the nice things is when you're at a conference, you're always busy scribbling notes, trying to catch the nuggets that people are sharing with you, and you miss a lot of what's going on because you're not paying attention really to the person presenting and what's going on around you and in the engagement level. So by doing this, sit down, watch it in your pajamas, enjoy whatever you're doing, eat, drink, listen to it, enjoy it, ask your questions, come back later, take your notes, because you can watch it as many times as you want until you get that information that was shared.
That's because Hangouts are automatically recorded to your YouTube channel, where you're able to edit them, brand them, excerpt from them, timestamp them. It's part of this incredible program. So people can watch. You're going to stream it on YouTube, and it's going to be available also in Google+. Is that right? Are you going to stream it in Facebook as well?
I may. I will probably. I am not as, for all that I do, you would think I'm technologically inclined. I'm not. I'm a dinosaur.
David is.
And I have issues with things, moving things on, and I didn't even know you could do certain things. So, if I can put them up on there, I will. But, I shy away from Facebook sometimes with Google things. I do put them on after the fact, but I almost sometimes feel awkward doing that. I mean, even in some of the groups, like there's blogger groups, and, I've been beating this horse for 3 years, and some of them still say, oh, well, I don't like Google because Middle Eastern men will send me messages. And I'm like, oh. Middle Eastern men send me messages too, and they're basically the same message, all right? So get over it. Move on.
Block, that's what block is for. Okay, we're done.
I mean, always the people with like 500 followers are the ones that do this too. It's like, oh my God, you have no idea how bad it gets, okay? But you ignore it. It's not
right,
true.
Exactly. You don't have to follow people. You can block people.
Right.
I mean, that's just not an excuse. So there's a couple of things that we want to cover that were really great that happened in the last week, and one of them is from Netflix. So Dave, what have you got?
Sure. So there's a lot of confusion out there in terms of what is content marketing versus native advertising. And I hate the word native advertising because it really doesn't mean anything, and it sort of feels like a trick. It sort of feels like, well, it's not really advertising, so it's advertised trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, right? This is an example of branded content that's labeled as advertising, but it's content marketing, and it's a fabulous content marketing. So Netflix is promoting Orange is the New Black, their second season, at the New York Times. So they bought some ad space with the New York Times, and it's for native advertising, which is essentially just content marketing. It's hosted at a subdomain, paidpost.newyorktimes.com. So in the URL, it actually is a advertises it as advertisement. It's produced by New York Times Brand Studios. And it's about women inmates. The whole piece is about women inmates and why the male model for prisons doesn't work. So it's addressing the topic that the show is about, right? It is an article of issues women face in prison systems that were designed for men. It has video interviews with women inmates and the author of Orange is the New Black, upon which the show is based. The interviewees look a little bit like the characters in the show, so there's some parallels there. There's audio clips, infographic, related articles from the New York Times, and it's all presented by Netflix in Orange is the New Black. So the branding is obvious. It's obvious it's sponsored, but it's informative, it's interesting, it's compelling. The video interviews are wonderful. So it's a great example of using content to market a show. This is not new for Netflix. They also did one with Wired Magazine, and this was on the changing nature of TV viewership. And so there's a fixed banner across the top of the page that doesn't scroll, so it stays constant as you're scrolling. They use parallax scrolling to tell the story, and the headline is TV got better. The article is about the changing, as I said, about the changing TV viewing habits. There's a poll, did you binge watch? It's got infographic results. There's a live stat, so as you scroll down the page, you encounter this live stat. It says, viewers have watched X number of hours, X number of minutes, and X number of seconds of TV since you opened your browser, so it's interactive that way. Video interview with the producer of Arrested Development on how TV is changing. Interactive audio, there's author Grant McCracken on TV's Turn for the Better, and as you listen to the audio, the graphics illustrate what he's talking about with stats. There's a chart about the most talked about genres on Twitter, interactive TV timeline for TV historical milestones, so great visually oriented content piece that is promoting Netflix. So
it's a really extraordinary example of this type of content, and the writing is, up to the quality of the New York Times. What I'm wondering about is, do you have any idea what they spent on it?
I do not. I would be interested in finding that out, especially given the two publications that they ran it on, right? The New York Times and Wired, not inexpensive publications.
And I would wonder what the results were, what the engagement was. I wonder if we can find that out. But there was some other really wonderful news this week, and Starbucks has announced that they're going to pay for the online college education of thousands and thousands of their employees. And Howard Schultz, who's the CEO, back in 2011, started a program to try and promote jobs in the U.S. And, his whole point of view is like, you can't wait for Washington to do things. Business owners have to step up, and they have to do the things that need to be done. So Starbucks has made a deal with Arizona State University, where basically they're saying to their workers that if you can get, if you can satisfy the requirements to get into the school, then you can have your education free. They're not requiring that you stay with the company for a certain amount of time. It's a very unusual arrangement because most of the time a company that does contribute to your education also insists that you stay for a while. Basically, they're saying that many people were able to start college, but then it was so expensive that they couldn't complete it. So if you've got 2 years, they'll pay your full tuition for the next 2 years. If you've got fewer than 2 years, they'll pay part of the cost, but with financial aid from the university and government assistance, your courses can still be free. And I just think this is a most extraordinary move by a company, and would hope that it would be an example to others, because really, he said, we know some people may leave and get better jobs, but that's fine. And we want to be part of making their lives better. And there's an extraordinary video on the website that explains the program, and the people who are being able to take advantage of it get to talk about what it means to them. And, you cry because it's changing lives so much for the better. So I think this is magnificent. And to my way of looking at things, it's education that makes a country great, and the country should have free education for everybody anyway, but we're not going to have that. So that's my crusade, and I think if Howard Schultz wants to run for office, I'd like to be on his team.
It's an amazing story for all the reasons that you cited, but also because it highlights so many things that are changing about education in this country. I mean, tuition going through the roof, so it's unaffordable for a lot of people, and doesn't make economic sense either. And the changing nature of education, online education being a viable way of learning now, and just the way that people need to learn and have rather than going to a physical place and being tied up in all the logistics of doing that, being able to, I mean, it's really an extraordinary story.
It really is, and you know what? We're just about out of time. We are not going to get to shiny new objects or to our stats this week, but it's been such a pleasure to have you as a guest, Chef, and to learn from you. And we will put all the links to your virtual conference and all of the places that you are present online and on Google Plus so people can find you. And thank you so much. And Dave, how about taking us out with where we can all be found?
Well, you can find me at e-strategyblog.com, on Twitter at @d_erickson. You can find BL at whatsnextblog.com, at whatsnext on Twitter, at maximum-plus.com for all things Google Plus. And Chef, why don't you tell everybody where everybody can find you at your various places?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm AskChefDennis.com, and on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I'm Ask Chef Dennis. So pretty much if you Google that, you're going to come across me in a bunch of different places.
And on those places, we'll find information about the virtual bloggers conference that you're hosting next week. And one of the things that we didn't point out is that it's free.
It's free, absolutely free.
So we thank you for joining us, and we will timestamp the video so that you can go to any segment that you want to see. And we will post it on the Beyond Social Media Show blog and on our Google Plus page. And we'll see you next week when our special guest will be Scott Scowcroft, who will talk to us about the Scott treatment of videos that you're just really going to want to learn about. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.